It's Most Things Kenobi, an elegant podcast for a more civilized fandom.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Most Things Kenobi, a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, LeeAnn.
And I'm your host, Lauren.
And this week we're diving back into the Skeleton Crew. This would be the last two episodes that have aired, episodes 5 and 6, I believe, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So turn back now. If you haven't watched, don't listen. Come back later after you've watched, because we, as usual, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about the show. So
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, indeed. I actually really like these episodes.
I did too. I thought they were so much fun. I really, especially 5, felt like Indiana Jones to
It was
me.
very Indiana Jones, and not in a way that was like so obvious, but it had flavor of Indiana Jones, and I was 100% here for it. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, it was like solving puzzles, going deeper into this maze that was booby-trapped. It was just like
Yeah.
all the classic Indiana Jones moments, like especially the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And it was also like it was the when they were down in the treasure, like the buried treasure area, and they were looking for the thing that looked natural. So I was getting the goblet, the thing that Jesus allegedly drank from.
oh yes, from Last Crusade. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
had the same thought, exact same thought.
yeah, that's my favorite Indiana Jones movie. So
Me too.
Yes. So it had flavors of that. I also liked episode 6 because it delved into the depth of these little kids who I really love KB. I think she might be my favorite character.
Yeah, she was so good.
She was.
That whole sequence with her and Ren, I thought it was Ren? Is that his name?
Wim.
Thank you. I was like, that felt wrong. Yeah, I thought that was a really beautiful sequence. I really enjoyed that. I was very... We don't see moments like that in Star Wars very often. It's very human in a way, even though they were fixing her like robotic augmentation. But
I was not expecting that. I thought she just wore that because it helped her do like problem solving. I didn't realize that she has parts.
yeah, that she said she was in an accident. They don't explain that.
Yeah.
They don't say what happened or what her issues are that she's living with. But yeah, like you, I thought it was just like glasses she was wearing. I didn't realize it was like hardwired into her so much. And they never, ever really address, except 3PO about needing an oil bath.
Yeah, right.
They never address corrosion
Right.
in Star Wars. So I thought that was really cool, actually.
I know it's kind of the little things. There's got to be a lot more corrosion going on, especially. I mean, I don't know. I just think I thought the whole thing was kind of brilliant. I liked it because there was a lot less screaming in these episodes from the children. There's a lot less child screaming like let's run this way, like shit like that. I thought for sure that they were gonna call, like KB was gonna call that elf, not elf. I'm sorry. Where did elf? The owl, not elf, not elf, an owl.
Another 3-letter word. That's all.
I thought for sure she was gonna call the owl.
Yeah. Well, and every time I see an X-Wing, I really just hope it's going to be Luke Skywalker.
I know.
That's wishful thinking.
He's got other to do besides coming to a
Rescue
resort.
Everybody all the time.
Yes. Isn't he off somewhere saving the Mandalorian?
Yeah, seriously. Building a school, hanging out with Baby Yoda.
I know. What did you think of the resort? Did it seem familiar to you at all?
I laughed out loud. I saw some people talking about it before I watched the episode, and then when you texted me, they basically just ripped off your fan fiction. It totally did. It was even on like a winter planet like yours was.
And they had rooms for experiences and different themes, and I'm just like, okay, a cheap idea is a cheap idea, but come on. Like, I did have this idea for Star Wars, folks. Many of you don't know this.
She did a while ago, like years ago.
Years and years and years ago. But hey, whatever.
And in LeeAnn's story, Obi-Wan goes to this pleasure resort, and it's delightful, and I think he deserves that. Now that it's in canon, I think he should go.
I'm saying he's the only one that deserves a break. There he can nap, which is the thing we've been promoting since day one for Obi-Wan, is a nap.
True, a nap. So speaking of Obi-Wan, you know what? There's a lot of like crazy theories going around of who Jod is.
Oh, yeah.
My deep cut theory is Jod is Obi-Wan's younger brother.
I had this thought. Because.
Did you?
Because we got the Qui-Gon quote.
I know, right?
What the was with that?
How would he know that?
How would he know that? Unless told by an older brother who's heard it from Qui-Gon, right?
And how would Obi-Wan have met his older brother or younger brother? I don't know if that's even possible. I suppose it is post Kenobi series because he's mentioned in the Kenobi series. Like, that's the first time ever
True.
we hear Obi-Wan say he has a younger brother, possibly.
Right. They have the same accent. They got the same blue eyes.
Plus, Ewan McGregor and Jude Law are old friends. They used to be roommates back when they first started out. Like,
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, it's right there on a silver platter.
Right.
Obi-Wan's been to the resort via my story. His younger brother possibly, allegedly, has been to the resort in this story.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking
It would
around.
explain why he might be slightly force sensitive, why maybe his parents didn't want to send a second child to the Jedi, but maybe because he knew his older brother had been sent, he learns about the Jedi. There's all sorts of ways through osmosis that he could have picked up these lines. I know some of our patrons had said they thought he was maybe like an initiate or something at the Jedi Temple, but didn't pass the whatever, got kicked out, or maybe the Empire came along before he got a chance to take the trials or whatever. Because he's regurgitating
Yeah.
Jedi terminology, but he's
Totally.
definitely not got the morals of a Jedi.
Nope. No, he definitely has gone on his own path. First of all, I was so thrilled to see that Scottish actress who had the white face paint and the braid.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's from she's from a lot of things. She's won an Emmy, I know that, but she was in Boardwalk Empire, which I loved that show back when it was on. And
Oh, I didn't know she was in that.
oh, she was a main character and I loved her then, and I was so God, I'm terrible with names.
She was in Train Spotting.
Yeah, she was in Train Spotting. Another Ewan connection.
Kelly MacDonald.
Kelly MacDonald, thank you. Yeah, she is fabulous. I loved her character's whole look from top to bottom.
Yeah, and the way she smiled with so many teeth.
Yeah.
I don't know if the actress does that naturally. I mean, she
has great
a
teeth.
beautiful. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
got a beautiful smile. But the way she was like using her teeth in this, I thought was so great. It was like a predator.
Totally. And I don't know what that species is or whatever, but I bet you there's something to it. But I loved every moment.
She kind of gave me Ventress vibes a bit.
Oh, they run in the same circle. I guaranteed. They got the same hairstylist. They got the same makeup artist. They got the same. I guarantee they know each other. Damn.
Yeah, she was great. I really enjoyed the levels she brought to that character. It was not one-dimensional. It was very interesting. She had, like, you liked her, but you also don't trust her, and you can tell there's, like, a history there. She brought a lot to it with very few scenes that she was in. I thought she was awesome.
She wasn't on screen for very long, and I need more of her.
Yeah.
You know who else I really liked in this set of episodes was when they went down into the mud area, I guess, and then they went further down and they met that giant thing.
Yeah, with like a little mustache.
Yeah, with the little mustache.
Huge mustache.
Yeah, but he's
Yes.
like, he was mean at first and you didn't know, and then he turned into like just a conversationalist who likes stories. I loved that creature.
I did too.
I love how they befriended him. He just wanted to hear a story. He was there like anyone else trying to get away from the real world. I loved him.
That's kind of what I love about this show is when I expect something to happen, it kind of doesn't go the way
Yeah.
it normally would in a kid's show. In the moments where I expect them to start screaming and being afraid, they turn it into a moment that's sometimes gentle, and I actually really like that. I like Jude Law's moments of comedy that I do they're cliche, but I kind of love them. When he's like, I'll handle this, and then he's like, run! Just turns around and runs. It's great, actually. It's very tongue-in-cheek, and the way he does it, I think, is why it works really well.
Yeah, there's a way that you can do it to make it seem less what this is, but it's genuine.
Yeah.
It's genuine ridiculous. And he knows it, everyone knows it, and it's okay because there's that space to allow it to just be silly,
because
I guess.
When you see it written on the page, it's like, that could really not hit right. If it's not done well, and it's like, it's acted well, it's edited well, and so it is funny, even though we've seen it a million times all over the world, in every movie, everywhere. So, yeah, I think the show is really accomplishing the tone that it wanted to. I don't feel like with other Star Wars stuff that's come out, it's all over the place and it doesn't know what it wants to be. Like, this seems very focused.
Yes.
It's telling the story it means to tell with the tone and the aesthetic. It's very consistent. Even though they have different directors, the whole show feels consistent. I think it's doing a really good job, and I'm really enjoying it. After the episode 5, I was just like, this is delightful. Like, I was drinking tea with my dog, watching it. I was like, I'm having such a good time, and I can't wait to start episode 6. Let's go, Like,
yeah. I've been pleasantly surprised myself after
yeah, I mean, after having it be really irritating.
Also,
to you.
hold on. Are we disappointed that what is it? At Atten is not more than just the money factory? Is that what I gathered?
I think it is more than that.
Okay.
I really do. And I'm not even sure they're going to find what they're looking for there, or that the pirate captain is even actually dead. Like, I think there's going to be a lot more to it when they actually get to the reveal of what it really is supposed to be. If they even do in this season. They only have 2 episodes left.
I know.
So I don't think we're going to wrap up everything in 2 seasons.
No.
Or 2 episodes, but yeah.
It was just like, I'm like, oh, please don't let this be, like, it's got to be more than that, right? Like,
but that's like the classic pirate booty, the treasure that never runs out.
It's
is
true.
Like, the holy grail.
Truly. But I want what me and you concocted the last time we talked about how it's all being protected by some getaway group that knows something that, the parents are in on it almost on what
I don't think it's not that necessarily still. I think there is something going on with those parents.
Yeah.
I mean, the administrator that they're, oh my God, I'm literally putting it together now. The administrator is going to turn out to be the pirate captain.
Maybe.
The one that they can never get a meeting with. It's got to turn out to be the captain. It's I
mean, I guess.
I'll put money on it now.
Will you put Old Republic credits on it?
Yeah. That's my guess is where we're going to find out he went to. Because he made it there. The ship got there. Mm-hmm. Although they said that his concubine stabbed him and there was a corpse, a skeleton with a blade
concubine?
stuck in
That's another
story time.
Yeah, that's for another day. I think it's great to have a concubine in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the Zygerian arc. We know that those exist. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wonder who that will be when we see who it is.
Who the administrator will be?
Yeah. If it's
I'm curious.
The fabled pirate that we're all coming to to know here.
Well, and this is saying Old Republic credits, right? I'm hearing that right?
Yes,
so,
that's
like,
what I heard, yeah.
That's like way before the prequels even. That's like from, what's that other show? Acolyte, right? That was Old Republic?
Or is that the High Republic?
Oh my god, I literally can't keep this straight anymore.
Well, wasn't the lightsaber that Wim found, wasn't that a Jedi Temple's lightsaber? Or am I just...
It was blue though, so I don't
Oh yeah, that's
know.
right. You're right. They only had gold. Okay. I did love when he turned it on and it was upside down. I laughed out loud. I was not expecting to laugh out loud, and I was like, that is exactly what would happen to a kid who doesn't know how to hold it. You know?
So funny. His poor little face too. He was just like so embarrassed.
It was going to be the moment he always dreamt of, and it was upside down. It's just like any kid who would hold something and not know, you know, make sure the right end's up.
I know. I was like, this is either going to be the big hero Star Wars moment, or this is going to not go well for this kid.
No, and it was actually very cute how they did that.
Yeah. I thought that was great. It was really funny. Yeah, and I kept hearing like very peripheral references to Peter Pan again. And I love when they call people a bilge rat.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of the original Disney Peter Pan movie with, you know, I don't even know when it's from. Is it the 40s?
Oh,
I
it's
think
old.
maybe the 60s.
It's old.
It's old, and you know it's racist. I'm saying that up front. We know that it's terrible.
There was a lot about Disney in that era that has been
even beyond, you know, as in our childhood. And now they've started putting disclaimers at the beginning on Disney Plus saying we are aware, we don't want to change the original product, but we're aware that there's some insensitive references.
You don't
I just
say.
love Captain Hook in that version. I pretty much always love Captain Hook, but he's so funny in that version, and they're always calling people bilge rats in that. And
I didn't know that.
It has like a special place in my heart. So when I heard it in this show, I was just like, oh my God.
See?
Thank you.
I didn't put that together at all because I haven't seen that movie since I was like 4.
Well, maybe it's just a thing all pirates say, or it's from maybe Peter Pan is actually referencing Treasure Island, but to me, that's where I was first exposed to it. But yeah, I should have read Treasure Island. I get exhausted by Stevenson.
Same.
It's tiring to read it. But yeah. Did you expect him to turn bad? Jude Law's character?
Well, it wasn't a good sign when Wim wanted to clearly talk about his mother and losing things and being sad about adventures, and he gave the fine, and then he sat down and talked to him.
I wondered about that scene.
Yeah. And then that's when we got the attachments are bad, and then your focus determines your reality. All this Jedi business. And I was just like, that was such a good moment for him to be good, and he wasn't. And I said he's probably gonna turn at some point.
Yeah. That scene was so odd, too, because Wim leaves, clearly upset, and he follows him on purpose. Jude Law's character follows Wim, and then he hears him crying, knows he's crying, goes in and lets Wim see it, and then acts like, oh, you're crying. So it's like, was he just trying to get Wim to toughen up using tough love, or was he really, like, turned off by it? I wasn't sure what was going on there because he kept giving off two different energies at the same time. And
I think he has two different energies. I think it's going to come down to when the rubber hits the road, he's going to choose the kids over whatever else. Like, the kids are going to get in big trouble, and he's going to have a come to Jesus moment. He's going to follow his heart. You know, it's about connection after all. It's about attachment after all, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's going. He may not, but none of this solidifies that, so I don't know.
So much of Star Wars is about a redemption story, so
yeah, very true.
I wouldn't I wouldn't be disappointed if he turned good and was actually a kind person, but he is a pirate, so.
Well, he has all these names. He has all these personas.
Yes.
Okay.
That's great.
All these people know him for something different, which is great if you're making your way through the galaxy and you just want to slip away.
And if your last name is really Kenobi, you definitely want to hide that. So.
100%. Just 100%. 100%. You don't want wrapped up in all that. That's a lot.
Yeah, you don't want Darth Vader breathing down your neck because you're related.
No.
But even Obi-Wan didn't change his own last name. He changed his first name. So who knows? He just hid as Ben Kenobi, super top secret.
That's true. He did give his character gave a very persuasive speech there about, he really appealed, the last appeal or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I love that there's all these pirate codes of honor amongst a bunch of people who don't have honor.
It was a real thing. Like, I don't know if that was exactly the code, but pirates really did have a code that they lived by. That was not just a Pirates of the Caribbean thing.
Right. True. But what if you want to juxtapose that with the Jedi code.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point.
The Jedi went against their own code more than the pirates went against their code, and they're supposed to be the bad guys and the Jedi are the good guys. So
you're so right. The pirates are sticking to it no matter what.
They don't like each other. They're ready to kill each other. They're ready to set them out airlocks or air vents, and they are going to uphold the code. But
the code is all they've got.
But if we're f***ing people behind closed doors at the temple, don't tell. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, right.
We're getting married. We're doing all kinds of things.
Secret wives.
It's all okay if you just don't say anything. Yeah. Jeez. I wonder if he does turn out to be Kenobi's younger brother, if that's why Kenobi doesn't talk about him, or because he actually wants his younger brother's life.
He's jealous.
I don't think that's Kenobi's MO, but like, I bet you there's a part of him whenever he wished he would have stayed with Satine that he'd have been like, you know what? Maybe my younger brother had it right.
Well, and I could see, like, one of the reasons I could actually see it is that maybe Jod knows, that Obi-Wan is his older brother and feels like an intense amount of resentment that he has the same skill, but wasn't given the same respect. I mean, Obi-Wan is famous all over the galaxy. He was the hero next to Anakin Skywalker, the brothers, and there's this guy. And he says, make the life you want.
Yeah.
So he said, F all, and went off and became powerful in his own way.
Very much.
Just in his speech, the way he was talking about always having crumbs, like
true,
always being hungry and left crumbs and never getting the full, piece of pie. He didn't say that, but that's... Pie is delicious, and who doesn't want a full piece? But
we love pies.
Obi-Wan and Kenobi pie.
Wonder what his favorite type of pie would be.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah. I fancy him a pecan pie kind of guy.
We should ask James. James Earl Taylor would know. I bet he would
should.
Know.
Oh my God. Well, we know what kind of sandwich he likes. Hey. Moving on.
Yeah. So we haven't really even talked that much about episode 6, which is just like the kids with their relationships with each other.
I gotta say, they're knocking it out of the park once again, every single episode with the visuals. They're very believable.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, just even the last scene where the ship peels away from itself.
Yeah.
That was kind of very clever.
I was not expecting that. I was like, you're damaged, beyond repair. What are you going to do? And I was like, whoa, is a whole nother ship inside.
That seems like, if it's a pirate ship, that seems like a piratey kind of thing to have done to your ship. Now, my question is, why wasn't any of Anakin's ships rigged with this ability? Because that would have saved him a lot of time and effort.
Well, I actually kind of wonder if it's like a non-protected interior, where it's like you build a ship that's like the general, and then you put a hole around it that has, their
That's why the 33 said, don't ever do this, because I bet you any money it's not protected whatsoever now.
Yeah, now you're just a fish in a barrel.
I was cheering for Fern to hit that button. I really was, and I'm glad she did it. I'm glad.
Yeah.
They all grew in this episode, and I really liked this episode because we got, like, kids have issues with each other.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on all of them, so a lot of them aren't talking about, they're just trying to do their part to make this go well so they can all go home. But there's a lot of stuff going on in between all of them. I think it's great to showcase that. And little Wim was so proud of himself to help make the replacement cartridge thingy for...
Yeah, he got to be useful for once.
Yes. I thought that was really nice.
He basically saved her life.
And she
had been feeling like... And he said, like, everything I'm always misreading who's the bad guy. And, like, everything he said or contributes gets shit on and doesn't work out. Even his own dad, he asked his dad to read him a story, and his dad's like, aren't you too old for that?
Yeah.
Which, I just never say that to a child. I would read you a story if you were 40 and asked me to read you a story.
100%. My mom read to me every single night, and I really credit my love of reading and storytelling and fictional building and creativity in my brain from the nightly stories that I looked forward to. Never tell a kid you're too busy to read.
Same. My parents read to us. If we asked, they would do it every time. And sometimes they would just say before bed, pick out a book. Mm-hmm. And I the same. The way my parents read too made me excited to like hear the stories. It was, ugh.
I think it's going to be cool if Wim's going to be able to tell his own cool stories someday. Like, he's going to have so many from this. It may not seem like the adventure he dreamed of. It's dangerous out there, and it's messy, and what else did he say? He listed all those things off where it just didn't, it's not the story that goes from A to B to C so fluently, and everyone's a hero and everything works out and all this stuff. That's the real adventure, is making your way through the garbage that is life.
Yeah.
And the, quote, side quests that come out of dealing with things in the moment. And if Wim goes back and retells his tale from A to Z just in this season, he has a hell of an adventure to tell.
And I think that's why I really like Jod, because he says that to him, basically. He says, you have this incredible imagination in this bullshit, terrible universe that we live in. And, like, he's got a very cynical perspective, but of course he does. He's an adult who can see what's going on. And these kids are little kids still living, with Wim uses his stories as his comfort blanket, basically his safety blanket. And Jod is trying to say you can still exist in this universe with your little beautiful thoughts, but they can help you be creative in solving the problems that you're in. Mm-hmm. And then Wim does that, and it's awesome. And I think that I love Jod as an unreliable narrator because you can't trust him, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't give really good advice sometimes to these kids.
Everything he was spitting was truth. It wasn't wrapped with a pretty bow, but it was cold, hard facts,
And can you trust it to not be him manipulating those kids? No, but can they still use it as good advice? Yes. So I think that's what makes it so much more interesting. Mm-hmm. I love an unreliable narrator that I like, because then I get pulled in with it, and then it's like, oh God, I don't know if I should be liking this, but I am.
Well, it shows the heart of children as well, because everyone they meet tells them don't trust this guy, and they still find ways to trust him even after the kind of faulty way he's leading them through this journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna lead him to have a coming of age moment himself, where I think he's gonna side with the kids at some point. Maybe not this season, because we only have 2 episodes, but maybe. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna wrap this up into. Kind of sad it's over.
I know.
Look at me.
It's we've all come such a long way.
We have.
Well, I loved how the arguments that came up between the kids was not like what you see in a lot of kids' stories where they kind of start fighting over in a petulant way. Like they start doing it and Fern is like, I'm not having this baby argument with you, and puts a stop to the usual way you would see it in a movie or a TV show. And I think it's way more truthful because kids don't express themselves the way adults do.
Right.
And sometimes it takes getting out of your usual circle, like how they switched partners in this episode. I loved when Neil was like,
Yeah.
you have to accept that I have short legs. Like, I just cannot do what you can do. And then she found a way to be compassionate and find a solution. And, like, compromise is such a beautiful thing. If you've ever been in a relationship where you don't have compromise and then you have it with somebody, you realize, like, how deeply meaningful that is. And I love seeing that.
That scene was one of the most mature scenes I've seen, and it came out of two people that were under the age of 15, give or take. And a lot of grown adults won't compromise, and they will pick on a person because of their differences or their shortcomings. And that's what KB said to Wim. Like, Fern expects her to always be on top of things, always have the answer, and she's different. She's not the same as Fern, and she wants to be acknowledged for that different. Just because she's different doesn't mean XYZ, what Fern may think about her. And I think it's great. We have to honor the differences amongst people. They don't have to divide us. They should make us grow stronger together. And that is those two scenes between those four kids is like what did it for me with that episode. It was just perfect. It was perfection. And the kids, the actors and actresses, these little kids are doing a phenomenal job.
It's so good. And I kind of liked that everyone had a valid perspective because KB wasn't telling Fern and wasn't giving Fern the benefit of the doubt either.
Right.
And Fern was like, why didn't you just tell me? And KB was like, why can't she just see it? And they all have a valid argument. And I think the best kind of storytelling is where each character gets to grow and then they meet more in the middle, especially with something like this. Sometimes that's not satisfying or that's not what you're looking for. But with Star Wars, we want that. Like, we want them to become a more cohesive team. It's really rewarding.
It is. And I said that when I first started these episodes. I said, I want something deeper. I want some messiness. Well, I'm getting it. So now I'm feeling pretty good. But you know what's happening here with these kids is they're becoming a really good crew.
Yeah.
Like, they're turning into...
Yes. That's like the last scene.
They all have their purpose and their job and what they're good at. And it's the four cohesive units of Han, Chewie, Leia, Luke. Okay? Like, if you want to. Not exactly, but they're... like a bunch of ragtags come together, don't know each other to begin with, and then they have become the A-team. And I love that. I love it.
All these people thrown in together in a really scary situation, and they're not quite vibing. You know, like even Luke and Han didn't quite get along, and Leia and Han didn't get along at all.
See, these are all adults, right? And they didn't communicate with each other what they wanted or what they needed or what's going on with everything. And then we're seeing real life issues with these children. And all of this happened when Jod was removed and they were allowed to be the four individuals that they are.
Yeah.
So I think Jod's going to encounter a completely different crew, if you will, when he encounters them next.
I think so too, because they're not only like this whole episode is about them like becoming cohesive but independent at the same time. They all each have a different strength, and now they're supporting each other in that strength while working independently. It's like when she told Neil, like, take the wheel, like one of them was going to do thrusters and the other was going to do steering or whatever it was. And it's like, I loved that. It was very exciting to watch it all starting to come together. And then Wim was like, I'm going to go up to the gunner ship. It was like he decided for himself.
Yeah, he did.
Nobody told him. Nope. He just went.
Because he knew he could do it. So there's a level of trust that's building there. And I bet you any money when they see Jod, they're going to tell him, we don't need you anymore. We don't need you or the droid. You can just be about yourself and we don't need you, which I think is great.
It's so great. I think it's going to be really rewarding. Yeah, I love it. All right, so our question for you, not related to Skeleton Crew. What kind of pie do you think is Obi-Wan Kenobi's favorite pie?
Yeah, we need to know. This is a very important question we decided to ask, so.
And do you think he would, like, eat a whole pie by himself or just reserve himself to one piece as a treat every now and then? I feel like he would be a closet pie eater where he'd take a whole pie back to his quarters and eat the whole thing.
This is, if it's a particularly bad mission with Anakin, he's eating the whole pie.
Just one of those brownie pies, which is just a brownie in a pie crust.
Who wouldn't eat the whole thing?
I think that's called chess pie, which kind of makes sense.
He's eating it regardless.
So anyway, let us know your thoughts on that very important topic.
And for our next episode, we are going to discuss the final 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew. We're going to see how this whole thing wraps up. And also, just as a footnote, we are going to be issuing that episode bi-weekly like we have been. But it'll be later in that week. So not Tuesday like we usually do. It'll be later in that week, but still the same week. So
yes,
just a little bit later because we have a lot going on in the calendar. So
yeah, a little busy. All right, in our last episode, we discussed Skeleton Crew, obviously, and we asked folks what their thoughts were about Jod specifically, but then also on Instagram, I kind of asked how people were liking the show so far, what were their thoughts. We had some really cool responses. Z said, I think Jod is a scoundrel, but will probably turn good / be redeemed at the end because Neil is too precious for Jod not to.
this is true.
OBT Novel When, with 3 question marks, said, can you guess what this comment's going to be about? Part of me hopes Jod is actually quirky and that his force sensitivity means he's a Kenobi, but I know deep down that we can't have nice things in the fandom.
That is also a good theory. I didn't think of that, but we can't have nice things. Nope. Or maybe we can. I don't know. Probably not.
And then Jedi Master Adam said, my inner child is loving this show. My theory on Jude's character is he was a kid at the Order, but never took the trials and left to follow the beat of his own drum. Thus, quote, not a Jedi, but was trained in the Force.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of going that way.
Yeah, and it's all like, it's basically everyone is kind of in keeping with what we have talked about already in the show. So I can't wait to see. I hope we get some sort of answer in season 1, but now now that we only have 2 episodes left, I don't know if we're gonna get any resolution here yet.
We can't have nice things. That includes answers.
True. Very true.
And thank you for joining us here on the Most Things Kenobi podcast. We appreciate every single one of our patrons and are grateful for your support. If you'd like to support the podcast and become a patron as well, head over to Most Things Kenobi Patreon. As always, you can follow us on Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads, and don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you enjoy our podcast, feel free to rate us on Spotify and Apple. And if you need one place to find all of these, head over to mostthingskenobi.com.
So until next time, my space twin, may the Force be with you.
Always.